Throughout the past several years, it seems like anytime a certain Batman Beyond project, whether it be through a TV show, movie, or even perhaps a video game, it just seems like it never gets to go off the ground. It's always in like the development stage, and then it ends up never happening. It's always particular with anything related to Batman Beyond. And I know there's like this whole I guess conversation on like Batman oversaturation specifically with content, but I think an aspect that of the Batman lore and mythos that could be incorporated in medium that isn't really incorporated all that often is the mythos of Batman Beyond, the future, Terry McGinnis, and just the overall vibe, some of those types of stories. And I think the most demanded or some of the most anticipated aspects would be like a live action movie of some sort, like a obviously before the Michael Keaton was brought on for the Flash movie, fans have wanted like a live action adaptation of the late 90s cartoon with Michael Keaton serving as like an older Bruce Wayne type of role, then bringing Terry McGinnis as like a movie. But anytime a I guess consensus or like any news on like development for the film, like, oh yeah, possibly making a Batman Beyond project, it just never goes to fruition and never actually comes out. Not too long ago, during like the whole like James Gunn, Peter Safran like acquisition kind of thing, there's a report how there was a canceled Batman Beyond movie in which they were going to have Michael Keaton reprise the role, and with Walter Hamada's plan before the Warner Brothers Discovery acquisition, in which he wanted Michael Keaton to be the main Bruce Wayne after the events of the Flash movie, kind of replacing like Ben Affleck, and he was going to make an appearance in the Batgirl movie, and then that was going to lead into his own solo project with Batman Beyond, but then obviously that ended up not happening. And then Walter Hamada also wanted to bring into production a Batman Beyond animated movie, which was going to serve as DC's answer to Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. But I do think like a theatrical animated Batman Beyond movie would have been really cool. You give it like the right animation budget, the right script writers, could have been something special. But the biggest fumble, in my opinion, when it comes to incorporating the Batman Beyond brand, is the canceled Batman Beyond game codenamed Project Sabbath that was going to be developed by Warner Brothers Games Montreal, the same developers of Batman Arkham Origins, and it was going to be like a futuristic type game set in the Batman Arkham universe. Essentially, it was going to be like a Batman Arkham Beyond game in which you were going to play as Damian Wayne as Batman, and then Bruce Wayne would kind of serve as like a mentor role. And then a lot of like elements you see in Gotham Knights, like kind of like the Bat Cycle and like the open world, was gonna stuff that was gonna be incorporated into the game, because they were working on that before deciding to work on Gotham Knights. And it was gonna feature like the Nemesis system, which was also prominent in like the Shadow of Mordor game as well, from Monolith. And then basically I think it was going to take place like 10 years after Arkham Knight, and it was going to feature like a variety of characters, like Dick Grayson, a female version of Black Mask, Penguin, Poison Ivy, Gorilla Grodd, White Rabbit, Two-Face. And there's like a lot of like concept art that like I don't know if it like leaked or if it went out like a while ago, kind of showing like different designs of like the certain villains or like characters that would show up, as well as like the good bat suit for like an older Bruce Wayne, as well as like Damian Wayne, and just kind of different aspects that would have showed up in there. And I think, and it's kind of disappointing how they had to cancel production on that game in favor of Gotham Knights, because create another Arkham game would have been like an instant hit, but then they come out with Gotham Knights, which they tried something different, but just the execution just wasn't all there. And then, similar to Gotham Knights, the main villain, or I guess the main faction of that game, as served as an antagonist, would have been the Court of Owls. So you see like a lot of those elements kind of brought into the Gotham Knights video game, and it's just kind of serves as how just like anything that gets greenlit or I guess kind of talked about in development, whether it's like a movie, video game, or maybe or anything, it's just like it just doesn't seem to go to fruition, doesn't seem to go forward in development. It's like a Batman Beyond type curse or something. I don't know what the deal is. I mean, because there's a huge fan base for it. A lot of the fans campaigning for like Michael Keaton, or with the video game, specifically me for the video game. I hope like someday in the future, whether it's Rocksteady, WB Montreal, or like even Monolith, that they just pick up like a Batman Beyond game. I think like if Rocksteady doesn't want to make any more Arkham style games, but continue to make other types of video games set in the Arkham verse, that isn't Batman Beyond, then like you could have like Monolith or something create like a Batman Beyond game in the style of Arkham, but it's not set in that universe. It's kind of like its own thing. I think that'd be really cool because, you know, right now Monolith is working on the Wonder Woman game, and you know they could incorporate the Nemesis system and that in there as well. But it's just kind of like sad because there's so much like missed opportunities and like a lot of potential for future stories that kind of differ from like your standard Batman medium with like the futuristic aesthetic that's really known for it, and especially with like, you know, like the video game kind of combine elements of like previous Batman lore that we love, but then also incorporate a lot of elements that are kind of different and kind of give like a neon, like cyberpunk-esque type of vibe to it. But I just hope like eventually in the future that DC incorporates the Batman Beyond, you know, I guess storytelling or like, you know, idea in the future at some point. I think the like most likely what I want to see the most is like the video game. I think Batman Beyond works way too well with the video game. It's like a compatible, like, you know, it's possible for development. It was in development until it got canceled, most likely to studio executives wanting to follow certain trends in the gaming industry, which is why you have games like Gotham Knights and the upcoming Suicide Squad Killer Justice League game that, you know, features a lot of like online multiplayer elements. But regardless of the future, I just hope that at some point, whether it's in James Gunn's kind of thing, I don't see him incorporating Batman Beyond, but maybe like as like an Elseworlds tale, whether you incorporate Michael Keaton or not. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see.